So today we're going to be exploring image and text in Adobe Photoshop. To begin with, we're going to go up to File, Open, and open up the image of the beach scene provided for you. With our image, we're going to look to compile the image so it appears inside of text. We're going to be using a basic font of Impact just for our demonstration. To begin with, we're going to first unlock our background layer. After unlocking our background layer, we're going to right-click and duplicate the layer. With it duplicated, we are going to convert this duplicate layer into black and white. The shortcut key for turning an image black and white is Control-Shift-U. If you're on a Mac, it's going to be Command-Shift-U. But once we have the now layer turned to black and white, we're going to create a new layer. And with this new layer, we're going to fill it in with the Paint Bucket tool. I currently have my foreground color set at white. Or just click on the foreground color on the bottom left. You can change it to the color that you need. With the paint bucket, I'm going to click inside the area, filling the area in with white. Once we have the area filled in, we are then going to click on the type tool. Type tool is on the left side navigation. Currently, I can see that my sample color, especially that we just changed our foreground color to white, our text color is going to be appearing as white. So I want to switch this over and I'm going to change it to black just so it's more visible. With the type tool, I'm going to look to click and drag across the document, filling up as much area as possible, but staying in the constraint. For the text, your default font likely is Myriad Pro, but we can adjust to any variation in font. If I go to the top navigation, I'm going to type in Impact, IMPC. If I start to type it in, I will see Impact as one of the options. And with the text information, I'm going to type in Hawaii in all capital letters. Once we have Hawaii, we're going to hit Enter or Return to jump down to the next line. And I'm going to type in Paradise. And just to explain how we can use the tools in Photoshop to adjust our character panel, we can get into type out our Paradise as lowercase. If I do want to modify this information, I'm going to highlight the text first. At the top navigation, I'm going to center justify my type. And it's always good to have the character panel to modify the size of the text or change the leading, the spacing between lines. So I'm going to click on the character panel on the right side navigation. If you do not see the character panel, you can go up to Window and alphabetical order. We should see character towards the top navigation. But with our text highlighted, because Paradise is currently lowercase, I could go to the top navigation and look to change the orientation or change out the information. But because we have the character panel already open, we can go along the top navigation or go along the character panel and change our caps to all caps. This will change my lowercase letters to uppercase. Now that we have our type in all uppercase, we're going to look to scale our font. In Photoshop, we can only go up to 300 point, but it's very restricted because you have to be precise in fitting it to the exterior of the text box. If I go up to 300, yes, it will improve the size, but I do like to put my cursor on top of the set font size icon, and if I click and drag to the right, I can make the text bigger. If I click and drag to the left, I can make it smaller. I'm going to look to scale up until the word Paradise is scaled up closest to the edge of the document without dropping any letters. Then we're going to highlight over the word Hawaii. With Hawaii, I'm going to again move my cursor on top of the icon and click and drag to scale up the size of Hawaii. If Paradise disappears off the screen, we can look to adjust the size of the text box to give yourself more room. But what we do want to do is confine the word Paradise to the space that we have. If I want to scale this up, I can either modify the leading. The leading is to the right side of the font size. If I click and drag upward, you can see that we can adjust our paradise on top of the leading icon so that it is closer to Y. If I did want to keep some space or arrange my paradise a little bit further away, I could also look at extending the vertical aspect of my scale, clicking, dragging, and stretching paradise higher up. It's all a matter of fitting the text as to this large area, making it extend. Once we have this paradise extended up, we're going to look to now get into applying the image and text. To do this, I'm going to first rearrange my layers. With my layers, I'm going to move the black and white variation of the beach down to the bottom and move my color version up to the top. So in order, we have our black and white at the bottom, the white background above it, then the text layer, and finally our color version on top. For image and text, if I want to get the text showing the image inside without any interference, I'm going to right click on layer 0 or my color beach layer and hit create clipping mask. When I hit create clipping mask, it automatically displays our colorful beach scene within that constraint. But if we want to make this stand out or look to experiment with how we can get more creative with the design, I'm going to click on my white background layer and I'm going to look to drop the opacity. As I drop the opacity, it reveals the black and white variation behind it. For my opacity, I'm just going to push this up to about 35 to 40%. And it's just meant to help create a separation between the interior of the letter being this colorful version and outside the letters being this more basic black and white variation. Finally, we're going to look to make our text stand out. So we're going to click on our type layer. With our type layer selected, we're going to go down to FX and we're going to click on blending options. With our blending options panel, we're going to be applying two effects. First, we're going to apply a stroke. With our stroke, I like to pick out a color that is related to something vibrant connected to this tropical setting. So I'm going to click on the black sample. Whether I want to try a green, a blue, an orange, it is up to you to kind of experiment with. But I'm going to push the size of it so it does extend a little bit further outside. And make sure that the position is set to the outside and not interfering inside of the image, the colorful image that we have. But I'm going to maintain and make sure my opacity of that stroke is at 100%. Once you're satisfied with the stroke thickness, I'm then going to go down to add a drop shadow. With the drop shadow, I'm going to push my opacity up to probably about 80%. My distance, I'm going to extend from the object itself. For right now, I'm going to start at 25%. The angle, I'm going to have slightly down to the right of my image, so my angle is going to go up towards the top left. Finally, my size, we can get into expanding out the area, soften up the shadow so it's not overpowering. I'm going to also set this to about 25%. If you feel that the shadow is too strong, you can absolutely drop the opacity, just softening it up so that it helps to separate from the background, but doesn't take away from the initial design. So once I'm satisfied, I can click OK. And taking a look, having hidden out our panels, we have Hawaii Paradise displayed across the page, revealing this beautiful sunset and getting the main idea of having an image displaying outside or through the text itself. So then you save this, save it as a PNG or JPEG, and I hope you enjoyed the demonstration. Have a good day.